Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony Nash, and we are coming to you as always from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owasso, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. Now, I'm joined today by two guests, Melvin Renfrow and Tom Wendling of ATS. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great to have you guys. Now, we're neighbors right here in this building. We've been both working in this building. Well, I've been in here for about three and a half years. You guys have been here for...
Since the beginning. Really.
Oh, since the beginning. Okay, so we've been here about the same time. You guys have moved around a couple of times, and now you're right in the front of the building. And actually, the room we're sitting in today, I'm sad to report, this is our last podcast in this room, but happy for you guys. You guys just added this whole space to your already existing space because you guys are doing some expansion. So congratulations there, and thanks for letting us use it one last time. We love this room. Thanks you guys for letting us do that. So you guys have been in the Armory for 2-3 years. You started out down. It was down in the basement. Was that your first?
No, that was actually our second space.
Number two.
Yeah, first space was upstairs.
A cubicle.
Yeah, one of the cubes upstairs, 208.
Wow. 208A. So I mean, what a great story of success. I mean, the Armory that we're in was built to help a business get their start and help them in the growth process. So you guys started in a really small cubicle space, which is like incubator space upstairs, then moved on to a bigger suite downstairs, and now got one of the prime suites, and are adding this. So that just shows the growth that you guys are experiencing, and that's amazing. We've kind of had a similar situation. We started with one suite, and now we have three, and we're actually getting ready to move on to a bigger building that we need because my staff is just too loud. I'm sure you guys know that. So they bug everyone. We don't have a ceiling like you guys do. So my staff kind of bugs everybody, but we're going to move on to a bigger space. So the Armory is doing what it was intended to do, is just help businesses have a great space. I know being here has given us all kinds of street cred. I mean, it's impressive to a client when they come in and they see, wow, you work in a castle. Like, it's pretty cool.
Even with our little desk, it was still impressive once they walked in the door. So
absolutely, yeah. And then having the shared conference spaces and some of the other amenities that are offered here. And of course, you guys handle all the network situations. So if we ever have issues with the internet, we come knocking on your door. It doesn't happen too often. But if you're in the market, you're an entrepreneur, you're looking for space to get started. I mean, there's a variety of options here at the Armory. They have the cubicle space, like I said, upstairs. It's really low cost of entry. And then they'll help you through the growth process. Albert Martinez and John Adams are fantastic. Kylie Hollis, they'll help you through the chamber. Will help you get hooked up with a cool space. So check it out. And you can be cool like us, right?
That's right.
That's what everybody wants.
Cool kids on Water Street.
That's right. Well, why don't you guys tell our audience a little bit about who you guys are and what it exactly is that you guys do? Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Tom.
All right. So we got our start. Melvin and I have both done managed services or IT services throughout our whole career. I mean, I've been working in service provider environments since I got out of college. So started off working internet service, moving on to managed IT services, into cloud services, and now kind of rolling the last two up into what we're doing for adaptive technology solutions. And Melvin spent most of his career in compliance spaces, whether it's healthcare or criminal justice compliance spaces, mobile device management, all that. Been going through, and the last few years have just been kind of a whirlwind of growth and
good stuff.
With the security threats and that kind of stuff that are out there, we've been honing our skills and going through and doing what we can.
Well, that's amazing. That's awesome to hear the way you guys came together, and we're going to dig a little bit more into that a little bit later in the episode. But for those listening who don't know what IT is, what's funny is, we're a web design company, and we do graphic design, video, that kind of stuff. But so many people say, oh, you're an IT guy. And I'm like, no, there's a big difference between what you guys do and what we do. Matter of fact, I have one client that every time they introduce me, they say, this is our IT guy, our IT firm. And I'm like, please don't say that, because we are not IT at all. As you guys have seen me ask some pretty elementary questions about IT. So explain to our audience exactly what IT is and what level of services you guys provide in terms of that.
Well, before we go into that, it's funny that you mentioned all that, because we had the same issue originally, because people knew what we did, but they didn't know what we did.
What it was.
Right.
Right.
So, you always have that.
You're
funny,
the computer guys.
Yeah, exactly. So, trying to explain to people exactly what it is we do and what we offer was, can be a challenge for any IT firm.
For sure. But the fact that it's a mystery and people don't know what it is means you can charge them for it and they will pay, because I can't do that. So I need to pay someone that does know what that means. So what does IT stand for?
Information technology.
Information. So see, it's simpler than we realize, but not what they do. What they do is very complex, at least from my perspective it is, and very important. And of course, you guys talked about security. I mean, I think probably you guys have noticed in 2020, like the amount of cyber security issues that people are having has probably gone way up. Have you seen a spike in that in the last year and a half?
Definitely.
Yeah, we've responded to our 10th security incident from a customer that was either break fix for us, so they weren't part of our managed services platform, or somebody who had a security event and needed somebody to help them figure out what the point of attack was and get themselves past it.
Yeah, it's crazy with everything that's going on. Like you read a lot online about cybersecurity is needed more than ever, and cyber attacks are at an all-time high. So people just have to be careful online. I mean, we just kind of have gotten used to living online, and we have a million different accounts. And if you're like me, you have the same password or a variation of the same password for every single thing. And so, I got a message from, I think it was Google, saying, hey, you might not want to use this password anymore because we found it on like 87 accounts or whatever. So those things are important, but it hasn't stopped me from using it yet. So so let's tell our audience about ATS specifically. Like, what's your services that you offer, and what your client looks like.
Some of the things we offer, cloud service or cloud solutions. So anything from a cloud PBX or phone system to cloud infrastructure, or Microsoft. We're a Microsoft partner, so Microsoft 365.
Okay.
We also offer business continuity and disaster recovery, in short, backups.
Yeah.
If you're looking to make sure that your data is backed up and secure, that's something we also offer. IT consulting. So if somebody's looking to implement a network solution or hardware solution, those are services that we can consult and also offer to customers as well. Business analytics.
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, what people, they see us as the IT guys and all that, but at its core, our real value driver is the fact that we're business consultants.
Right.
We're not looking just at the IT. It's, can we help you optimize your processes? Can we help you find value in things that you haven't looked at? Customers that have on-site database servers and that kind of stuff. How are they actually using those to drive value and make business decisions? And we can take solutions like, for business analytics, Microsoft Power BI, which is part of the Microsoft's cloud stack, and use that to create dashboards, reports, that kind of stuff, all the way down to, we've helped people try and figure out, why is this process taking so much longer? Because other customers that we have kind of see it as it happens in a fraction of the time. So stuff that they have takes an hour. Why is this other customer taking 15 minutes? Well, let's try and help you optimize your workflow and automate the busy work away.
Interesting. Well, that's I didn't realize that your guys' scope of services went that high. So you guys are primarily commercial, or do you do any residential work?
Yes and no.
Yeah, not really.
You're primarily looking for businesses who are in need of these types of services, and you, if I'm hearing this correctly, you really want to partner with a company. Sit down with them and trying to help them figure out multiple solutions with their systems and processes. So who is your ideal, who's your ideal client that you're looking for? They're not necessarily a name of a client, but describe, is this a small company with, 2 employees, or are you looking for companies that have, a bigger infrastructure?
Yes.
All of it, all of the above.
All of it. We help businesses of all sizes. It could be, like you said, somebody that's, couple employees, or could be enterprise grade or size company. We're willing to help. We can step in and, as Tom mentioned, take a look at, what problem you have, what you're trying to solve, and see if, maybe something you already have is already there. You just need to
unlock it.
Make better use of it. So.
And then on the large end, we've worked with a couple of Fortune 1000 companies.
Really?
On a contract basis. We've got some depth to our bench as far as their technical skills. So, anything from a 2-person space all the way up. People that have internal IT staff that need to be augmented, people that don't have any internal IT staff. Our goal is that, we work with all of your existing vendors. We're not here to, try and take your square peg and fit it into a round hole.
Right.
We're working to make sure that everything is as efficient as possible.
Well, I think that's important to know, because maybe a smaller company might think, well, I can't utilize services like that. I can't afford something like that. But to understand that you guys really are dealing with each client on a case-by-case basis, finding out what their specific needs are. And obviously there's a big range. So I think that's good to understand. Now, there are other IT companies out there. There's a lot of available online IT firms. You just sign on with us for this much, $9.99 a month, and we'll take care of. So what makes ATS different than your average, person who claims to be able to solve all their problems technically?
Generally, we're taking the fully consultative approach. Most of the online IT services, or even a lot of the other ones, they want to make sure that your basic services, your antivirus is covered, your PCs are patched, your servers are up to date. The basic care and feeding that everybody needs. And then when it comes to line of business applications, then they'll start saying, well, no, you need to have support for that.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's extra.
And that's extra. So, when we come in, we're looking at a full 360 view and trying to say, okay, well, you've got all of these different applications. Where you have redundancies, how can we help you centralize that? How can we drive efficiency and make sure that everything is truly designed to make sure that your business is functioning at 100%.
Optimized, yeah.
And I think one of the other things that also makes us different too is, we're out to make good relationships and good connections with our customers too.
Yeah.
We're not just there to help you solve a problem. We're interested in learning about our customers, what they do, and listening to what's going on. I think that's key. So a lot of times that personal touch is missing from a lot of things today, and
100%.
we try to bring that back.
Well, I want to touch on that for a second, because to me that's very interesting, and I'm glad that you guys said that, because I spent 10 years in hospitality, so customer service is what I was a pastor for 7 years, and then worked in hospitality, hotels, and restaurants for 10 years. So people was all that I knew. And one of the things that's frustrating to me as a customer today, especially after last year, I feel like when customer service was already lacking, now people are offering the bare minimal amount of service to just, it's like almost like you're blessed to be able to come to their establishment or use their services. And so, either take it or leave it. We're not going to go out of our way to make you feel like you're different or special. And I think that's the struggle with a lot of online services, and people have gotten used to the convenience of that, or even the affordability of that. And it's all fine and great until you have a real problem. And then you realize when you call their customer support that you're not a customer, you're just a number. Yep. You're just customer number 78463, and there's someone who's going to read through it. Well, try this to troubleshoot, and there's no real relationship there. And I know, like when I first started my company, we do web design. You got to host a website somewhere. We don't have servers, or I didn't have servers, at that time in my house. And so we were using one of these cloud-based servers, and we went with Bluehost as they were recommended. And so for $34.99 a month, you can host unlimited amount of websites. Like, wow, this is great. I can upcharge that a little bit to my customers. And then what I realized is that, number one, AIG, who owns GoDaddy, bought all of the hosting companies pretty much, and they all are together. And then when they allow your sites to have certain vulnerabilities, and then when somebody has a problem and you want to call and help get it fixed, oh yeah, no problem. We can do that for $200 a month. We'll put this site on this security patch and this, and you realize, like, okay, this is a big issue. And there's no, like, if you threaten to take your business elsewhere, they don't care, because there's hundreds of thousands of other numbers in their, in their customers. Whereas when you work with a local firm, local companies, small business owners like us, like we care if we lose a customer. Like if you tell us you're going somewhere else, we're going to at least try, unless you're really high maintenance, but we're going to at least try to provide you some solutions or work with you in your budget or do some things to help you because we value that relationship. We value that partnership. We are concerned about your business, like with you guys working with other business owners like we do. Like I take pride when I see one of my clients' business succeeding. I feel like we have a small part in that. And when I see them struggling, I feel that too. And so we're always trying to figure out how we can develop that relationship to really help be a small part of their success. And so I think, if you're out there and, obviously there are options online, I think the same thing where like printers and different things, like we have a lot of local printers here. We have clients that will call us and need printing, and we try as much as we can to work with a local printer because, maybe it's a little bit more expensive, but you're getting somebody that is concerned about the quality of your thing, and they're going to be there working with you. So I'm glad to hear that you guys said that that's kind of at the core of who you guys are. And I think that makes a big difference when it comes to, being able to have those things taken care of. And when it comes to your security, if you're like me, you don't want to think about it. You just want to know that it's taken care of. Like I don't want to go to bed at night thinking, oh, is this going to get hacked? Is my email going to get hacked? Are these websites going to? I just want to know it's taken care of. And so having somebody that is vested in that, and it's somebody that I'm going to run into at Kroger and someone that I'm going to see in my community, I think is important and valuable.
Absolutely.
So how long have you guys been in Owasso? Did you guys start when you started here at the Armory?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Our first job before, and it was technically before we were even incorporated, was a network upgrade for a customer that we had all done work for in the past, and they had gotten a quote from a firm out of Lansing that the was overly upcharged, and
Sure.
they didn't understand the environment and all that kind of stuff.
Things they didn't need.
I don't think companies do that. They don't try to sell you things you don't need.
Doesn't happen.
So we came in. So we didn't even have a sales tax license. So we reached out to a local partner of ours that still had some vendor relationships that we didn't even have at the time to do the purchase of the equipment for the customer, and then we did the labor, and then December of 2017, I filed the incorporation paperwork, and then we went off from there.
The rest is history.
That's right.
All right. So your guys' first real space was right here.
Yep.
And that's where it started. Okay. Well, what do you want people in our community or people listening? Because, obviously, you guys aren't limited to provide service to people in Owasso. You guys can provide services to anywhere in the world, really. So what do you want people who are listening to know about your company?
We're here.
Yeah.
I think, part of that too, we kept ourselves under the radar for quite a while because we weren't sure how to go about putting ourselves out there. So
Sure.
The
Part
other
of running a business is it's daunting.
yeah.
Well, the other part of it that we kind of decided on was, every time that we got the word spread, everybody talks, and so we started getting more and more business. And so, when we first started, I still had a regular day job, and so did Melvin, and
I think I remember that. Yeah.
And so, okay, well, we're growing. Yeah, how do we manage this growth while still keeping everything upset? Because we didn't want to necessarily take that full leap right away.
It's intimidating.
And so at this point, we've added staff. I'm now fully vested into time with ATS, and so is Melvin. Our third partner is in and out, and then we have right now 3 full-time staff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're happy. We're ready to see whatever the world sends us.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say we're here. If you're a business that's looking to solve the remote workspace, work from home. If you're looking to, try to automate some processes that you may have, you're looking to streamline something that you've got, give us a call. We're ready to help.
Yeah. And by the way, I want to say your staff, you mentioned you have 3 staff. Those guys are great. Every time we've gone and asked for something, they respond quickly. They get up and they take care of it, and then they follow up with us to make sure everything's working properly. And so you guys have some good people, and I think that's very important. Well, let's go back to the beginning. We know kind of how you got to today. So let's talk about, so you guys both grew up in this area? Did you?
No, I actually grew up in Bloomfield Hills.
Okay.
Mom and dad are still there. So, and then I moved here in 2002.
Okay.
Lived in Owasso for about 11 years, and now I live in St. John's, but still work here.
Still local, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I grew up north of here. I graduated from New Lothrop High School.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Go Hornets.
yes, exactly. And then I went north, moved up to the UP for about 4 years after high school. I got my associate's degree before I came back down. And first job was here in Owasso, working for Daystar Communications. But
Okay.
back then it was Michigan Online Group.
Yeah, I remember that.
And so with the exception of my little sabbatical going up to the UP, I've been in Shiawassee County my entire
Been
life.
an O-Town boy your whole life, yeah. Well, so then what point did you guys meet each other?
So
How did that happen?
So that's funny because we've
Various
known about each
stages.
other for years.
Yeah.
So while I was at Daystar, Melvin was at Memorial Healthcare, and
Okay.
he was working in IT. And kind of what we're doing right now, I had started building at Daystar. So Daystar was offering managed IT services a bit for certain customers. And while I was there, we started expanding that out a bit. So with different people that we knew at the hospital. So Melvin knew about me, I knew about Melvin, but I don't think we actually met until 2017.
Yeah, 2017.
The magic moment.
Yeah, we when he was at Daystar and I was at Memorial, we would kind of cross paths because he was one of the network engineers. So I'd see him,
Yeah.
just never met him.
Yeah.
And then we found out after we met in 2017 that both of us actually worked at Dunham's here in Owasso.
Oh, okay.
I had left, I think, just as he was starting.
Right.
Yeah, so I worked there when I was up in the UP, and there's something to be said about that employee discount.
Yes.
When
That's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
when I moved down here, I had already had a full-time job at Daystar, and I'm like, I really don't want to lose that, so I transferred.
What kind of employee discount does Dunham's offer?
Oh man, I don't even remember anymore.
I don't remember what it was either.
But it's better than
It's a
not
good
giving
one.
me any
Good enough to
favors.
get a part-time job to keep it. Yeah. So you were mentioning before the show that you could respond to almost every question with a Taylor Swift song. I'm wondering if you have a Taylor Swift lyric that describes the meeting of Melvin and Tom.
Nice to meet you. Where you been? I can show you incredible things.
Excellent. I knew
Nice.
you would come through on that one, Tom. I knew you'd come through. So at what point in your guys' lives did technology become an interest to you, working in this field? I mean, it's not something that everybody can or wants to do. And so at what point did you say, I like this, I understand it, and I want to make a career out of it?
For me, it was as a kid. My parents, when I was younger, had a videography and photography business along with their day job. So I would accompany them to weddings and things like that they would videotape, film, do photography for. And, when they would come home, they'd do all the mixing and the editing of the videos that they took. And
Yeah, we know a little bit about that.
and I was fascinated. I loved the stuff. And I think I was 4, maybe 5 years old, and taking apart one of my parents' big old over-the-shoulder Panasonic camcorders, and it freaked them right out. But I put it back together, and just from that age, I always knew that this was something that I wanted to do.
Very cool. That's a cool story.
So
Is yours as cool as his?
no, I actually kind of fought this until college. So my first exposure, my uncle had a Commodore, and whenever we would go over there, we always went to go down there and play Street Rod and all that. So it was my first exposure, and then we got our own. And I was always interested in like the physical aspect of the components and all that kind of stuff. But when I graduated high school, I had done agricultural science and a bunch of that stuff through and I went into I had done agricultural science all through high school, and I was going to environmental conservation. I was going to be an environmental engineer and all of that. And then, come to find out, ADHD really makes it hard to focus on statistics and all that kind of stuff. And so realized that probably wasn't my calling. And technology always kind of came easy to me, so it was one of those, okay, you need to stop fighting what you are and just put your head down and go full tilt.
Yeah, if it comes easy to you, it doesn't come easy to most people. So if it comes easy to you, that's good. So most really technical people that I know, if you call them a nerd, that's like a compliment. So to you guys, is nerd or geek better or neither?
Doesn't matter to me either way.
Yeah, like I had this one guy, like he wants you to call him a nerd. He's like, to him, it's like, yeah, I'm a nerd. It means I know more than you. So, so we're all a nerd about something, right? So, all right. Well, before we go into one of my favorite segments called Explain That Post, I want to ask you guys, what do you love the most about what you guys do? What do you love most about your jobs now? Now that you guys are full-time entrepreneurs, what do you love most about it?
I love helping people solve their problems. Related to technology. We had a customer, for example, at the beginning of COVID that wasn't sure how they were going to keep going because their office was closed. Everything that they needed was in the office. How do they access, whatever they need? And we, by way of moving them over to Microsoft 365 and implementing a couple of other remote solutions, they were able to keep their business going and exceed expectations and
Awesome.
thrive. So getting that feedback from them that, had we not helped them through what we did, there's no way they would have survived. Hearing those stories and doing those things, that I love that. I love hearing that. I love seeing that.
Yeah, you won't get that with an online provider. It just won't happen. So that's awesome.
See, for me, it's the look on people's faces as we say, well, have you thought about doing this? Because I guess kind of going back to, we use technology to solve business problems, but we're really here to solve business problems. So, have you thought about, looking into integrating into this? Have you thought about using this to do X? And, the fact that, everybody's good at what they do,
right?
Generally. So, talking to a company and saying, have you really thought about this just outside the box to try and get the data you need to be able to function at 100%? And that light bulb going on for them, because everybody else, the general break fix providers that have kind of been the norm for Shiawassee County IT, they're not doing that. Okay, you got a computer problem. Okay, your computer's fixed.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah. Well, I know for me, one thing, because, I know a little bit about computers. Obviously, we run a marketing firm, but, you can understand software and have no clue about hardware and what makes it all work. I know how to drive a car, but I don't know how to fix an engine. So there's a big difference. And I know for me, when I've talked to some tech support people over the phone, and then they just make you feel like you're a moron because you don't understand what they understand, that's frustrating. And the interactions I've had with you guys have always been, even when I've asked, like I said earlier, elementary questions probably to you, you guys never made me feel like it was a dumb question. We're always quick to respond. And so I appreciate that. And I can tell you the average everyday person, the things that are normal everyday language to you guys, it's Greek to a lot of people. And so being able to speak to somebody at the level they're at and helping them understand those solutions is huge for people, and not making them feel like they're inferior because they don't understand it. So awesome. All right. Well, like I said earlier, we're going to move to a segment called Explain That Post. This is something we do with all of our guests. We do a deep dive on your social media. Tom, you didn't have a lot of posts, so I couldn't go too deep into yours. But I just sent you, Tom, a picture that I found. This is actually your profile picture. And here you are in a nice 3-piece suit, sitting on a throne, looking like the $1 million man here. So I think our audience needs to know, like, what's going on here? You're just looking like a boss.
That was an awesome day. So a really good friend of mine, his name's Brian. Actually, he's a transplanted Uper. He's living down in Detroit. Works for GM as a software developer. That is taken at the Masonic Lodge down in Detroit. Lodge Temple.
Masonic Temple.
Saw
and Ninja Turtles there as a kid.
And that is his
good memory.
That's his wedding day. So that explains 3-piece suit. I stood up for him in his wedding, and there's all these ornate chairs and all that kind of stuff all over the place. So
it's like a throne room.
Me and all the rest of the groomsmen, at some point we had a picture like that taken somewhere, and also fun fact, not sure if it was real or not sure other. We found a knife and a skull and some sort of
we've all been there.
Masonic sheet, or like an initiation sheet, like somewhere in the building, because you can't just leave me and that group of friends alone and for hours, because we're going to go explore. So that was interesting.
You found a skull and a knife.
Society.
Yeah, some sort of a underground seance going on there. Well, you clean up nice, my man. You clean up nice, looking like a boss. And so now, Melvin, I just sent you one here. Tell me when you get this. It's got to go all the way across the room before it comes to your phone. Did you get it? So here we have a bare-chested, like pharaoh-looking Melvin with looks like a Egyptian time Elvis Presley. I don't know what's going on in this here. You're looking pretty ripped there, my man.
So that was my very first play at the Lebowski Center. I was asked by Lynn Freeman to be a part of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Okay.
So that was the Pharaoh scene with Quentin Brainerd. That was
that is Quentin. All right. I didn't recognize him.
Playing Pharaoh
forever.
Yeah, so that was my very first time on stage doing a play at the Lebowski Center, and one of the best things I've ever done. I loved it. Loved it.
So you played Pharaoh?
No. I was one of the guards. Yeah, he was Pharaoh. I was one of the guards.
Why does Pharaoh look like Elvis?
So that was.
I haven't seen the play, obviously. So
that was the take on the Pharaoh at that
the
for
creative
the play.
Interpretation.
Yeah,
very nice.
It was a good time. Done several plays since then at the Lebowski's. Really, really fun.
Yeah, as I was going through your post, I saw you've been in several productions, so that's pretty cool. And they're opening back up, right? Well, they've been doing some outdoor stuff.
Yes, they are. They've got an outdoor show coming up, Head Over Heels. They just did Pop Up on Park, and they've got some other things coming too. So
you do theater on the side.
I do.
Very cool. Very cool. We'll have to keep that in mind. We do a little bit of short films. Sometimes we're looking for actors. We may need to keep you in mind. Get you on camera there. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for being good sports about that. Thank you for giving our audience a little context to those amazing posts. But I want to end our episode talking a little bit about 2020. This is something we talk about with all of our guests. It's the big elephant in the room. It affected every business owner, certainly. And it's something that affected some people in terms of sales and growth in a positive way, and some people in a very negative way. Some people close their doors permanently, and maybe you have clients that experienced both. Like we have clients that did very well through COVID because they were able to adapt. And then we had clients who closed their doors forever because they just couldn't sustain it. So talk to me about what was going through your mind. You guys are just a few years in, business owners. You've made this big leap into full-time, and you have families to provide for. Tell me what was going through your mind as you were finding that, a lot of the businesses were closing. I mean, if you're like me, I realized like the services we offer are really online, and that's still going to be needed. So I didn't think it was going to affect us like here, but I knew it would affect our clients, which does obviously affect us. So what was kind of going through your mind as this stuff started to roll out? First, it was like this might happen. Then it was 2 weeks to slow the spread. Then it was 4 weeks to flatten the curve. And then it ended up being more than a year. And now we're talking about going back to some of these things. So what was going through your mind when that all was happening?
When it originally happened, it was, pretty much how are we going to adapt?
Right.
No pun intended.
Adaptive technology.
Exactly.
Technology.
So we weren't sure what that was going to look like, but as businesses started to go more and more to the remote approach, we started to see, okay, well, maybe there's going to be some things there that we can jump in and help some businesses with. But even then, a lot of people were slow to make that leap.
Yeah.
A lot of people held on thinking, you know what?
It's just temporary.
Yep. And so in the meantime, while all of that happened, what we ended up doing to kind of keep ourselves out there and to help with COVID and try to help frontline workers, we ended up partnering with some local school districts, and we joined a technology group out of Lansing that 3D printed PPE. So we did a lot of 3D printing of masks and splash guards and things of that nature.
It was actually, we took this room over.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
This whole room was taken over with 3D printers.
Yeah, we had 9 printers. I think we had 9 printers that were going around the clock. We would, first thing in the morning, come in, get the printers going, change them a couple times a day, make sure they were running before we left. And what would we do with like 1,000 masks and splash guards, I think, over the time that we were doing that. So
that was a big help.
Yeah.
They were short on PPP at the very beginning.
Yeah.
PPE, sorry.
Yeah.
So it was a little scary, but we still, I think the thought of what are we going to do kind of went away as we started to help print the PPE, because it kind of gave you at least a feel good,
absolutely,
feeling.
You realize you're becoming part of the solution.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about just the problem, let's how can I help solve the problem? So, and that's really what you guys do. So
yeah, and I think we're big believers in things happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't long after we started printing that we started to get a lot of phone calls about I need to solve this issue, or we need to find a better way to do this in light of COVID. Mm-hmm. Can you guys help us out? And so we were very fortunate, I think, that during COVID, after March, I would say business picked up big time.
Yeah.
And that was actually 2020 was one of our best years that we've had.
Mm-hmm.
So very lucky, very fortunate.
Yeah.
Kind of going on to that part about 3D printing, we donated our time. The Armory and the chamber, donated the use of the room and electricity. So, they were a big part of that.
Absolutely.
And then we had some community members that we basically served as a pickup. So they were also putting their time and energy and electricity costs into printing at home, and then we'd pick them up and aggregate all that, and then ship that back down to Lansing. So there was a huge effort in that. We weren't alone in it, and it was great to see everybody rising up to try and help, what was it, combat the curve or whatever was the hashtag that was going around back then.
Yeah. Well, I think that's absolutely amazing to see people that, are willing to, instead of, having a woe is me mentality and just worrying about, numero uno, but thinking, how can I really help and be part of the solution? And I think when you're generous, when you're just giving of yourself and of your time and of your talent, that's always going to come back to you. There's a verse in the Bible that I like that says you reap what you sow. And some people take that as a negative, like, well, if I do bad, I'm going to have bad come to me. Well, yeah.
Right.
But also if you do good, you'll have good come to you. Some people call it karma. But, I think that it's biblical. And, I think when a business owner just determines that in times of crisis and times of need and times where you can help somebody and you're able and God's given you the abilities or the time or the talents to just be generous with people, it's going to come back. I mean, we had a very similar thing when this all happened. We just were unsure, trying to figure it out. And we're big social media people because we manage a lot of social media accounts. And I recognized, like, as I was scrolling through people's social media, that there was so much negativity.
Yep.
Just negative. Everyone's worried, everyone's scared. And so I just said, what's something I can do to inject some positivity into the social media world? So we came up with this campaign called Campaign Control the Scroll. And we started, just offered the clients that we have, we'll make you free graphics every day and we'll post a positive graphic. And if we have, we were managing at that time maybe 60 social media accounts. We're like, well, if 60 different companies are posting something positive, it's bound to come across people's scroll. Right. Well, then other businesses started asking about it. Other people started seeing if we could make them graphics. And within 2 weeks, we were making free graphics every day for 350 some businesses all around the country, which takes a lot of time, even though it's a template, because each graphic was like custom to their color or their logo. And but it was impossible to go on your social media in our area without seeing a couple of those, and they all had the same quote. And so it was just putting a positive thought in people's mind. And then the next thing we knew, we had that hashtag Control the Scroll had only been used like less than 100 times on Instagram. By the end of it, it was used millions of times. Like, people just started using that hashtag, and it kind of went viral. And that ended up being one of the best things for our business. We didn't do it to get new business. We didn't do it to market ourselves. As a matter of fact, we didn't even tell people we were doing it. We just were putting the graphics out there. And it ended up being one of those things where people just started calling us. And even to this day, people say, hey, you made a Control the Scroll graphic for me back in, and we need this. We need a new website. And it's turned into those things. So I think being generous, being willing to be part of a solution and not always part of the problem, I think is good. We both have the word solutions in our businesses, AZ Business Solutions, Adaptive Technology Solutions. So I think that's what we're about, is solving people's problems, like you mentioned. And I think for me, that's something that I just really enjoy about this business, being able to help people with those things. So I'm assuming, did you guys have to work from home for a little while? You probably did, right?
Kinda. Oh,
we alternated who came in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were months where, Tom would be in here a couple days, then I'd come in. We kept our guys at home mostly, unless there was, a customer that was able to be open that we needed to deploy someone to. We would do that, but
yeah. So that's a challenge all by itself. Obviously, for you guys, understanding how to do things remotely probably helped, but it's a challenge when you can't physically go to your building. We tried to do the work from home thing for a couple of weeks, and we have some remote solutions, but we're such a collaborative, everything we do is so collaborative. It was really challenging for us. And so now let me ask you this. So how is COVID affecting ATS today? Like, what kind of lingering effects are you seeing, or new effects are you seeing, in a positive or negative way?
I mean, the only negative thing that I can think of is the uncertainty,
Yeah.
Even now.
Yeah.
Are there going to be new mandates? Because as a small business owner, the government decides that they're going to make some new requirement and all that kind of stuff, and then you got to scramble, and you've got to make sure that you can implement it, and that you can just do it. And so for me, I'm constantly on eggshells. I'm like, okay, so we're preparing for Delta variant. Okay, what's this new thing? Are we going to be going back to masks? Do I need to start pre-planning, and do I need to order more masks? Right. And that part's the one that keeps me up at night sometimes. Is what are we going to have to do?
What's next?
Well, we had last Friday, our lieutenant governor was here. I don't know if I think I saw you there. Were you there?
I was stuck in meetings.
Yeah. And I got a chance to go out in the hallway and ask. We were videoing, and I got a chance to ask a question. And he was talking about how, all of the grants and all of the financial relief they've been able to give to business owners over the last year would certainly help people as they were, struggling financially. But I think for me as an entrepreneur, I don't want handouts. I want to be able to work and provide. Right. That's the ideal situation. Yeah. So he said, we've been able to do all this, and this. And he listed off all their accomplishments. He goes, we're here today to find out what else we can do to help you as business owners. And I said, it would just help if you'd let us stay open. And he quickly changed it. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I wasn't trying to be rude. But as a business owner, I'm like, how can I plan for 6 months from now when I don't know? And again, I understand some things are out of our hands, when things happen. But how can I as a business owner plan? So I just said, let us have assurance that now that we understand the virus, now that we understand how to keep people safe, let us stay open and serve our customers. And we'll, as smart business owners, figure out ways to do it safely and not put people's lives in danger. And customers are smart too. Customers know when they can go into a place that's safe and when it's not. And people can and so I just said, please let us stay open. And I'm hoping that they will, because for us, we want to keep moving forward, but there's always things where I'm like, man, there's something I want to do, but I can't do it till January. Do I want to plan for that, or I just need to wait to see how things go? So, well, the last question I had before we do our Say It in 60 is, what is some good advice that you would give to other business owners in our community, related to what we're just talking about here about preparing for the future and being set up and ready to go? What's some good advice you would give to, other business owners?
Well, personally, everybody needs to start going through and doing a safety and cybersecurity check and understand either to NIST or CMMC or, whatever security governing body that you want to adhere to, because we're seeing more and more just in local companies that are being attacked. There were large breaches over in Genesee County that have made the news, and there were millions of dollars.
Yeah.
When Genesee County got attacked, it was a couple of years ago, and it's getting closer and closer, and it's now hitting here. And what a lot of people do, so if you have cybersecurity insurance, you have certified at some point that you are meeting some minimum standards. If you haven't looked that over, reach out to your insurance provider, get that list back to understand, what you are supposed to be doing. If you have questions, reach out to us. We can help you interpret that, and as part of that, we have a cyber compliance service that we offer that can help track and provide some evidence that you guys are working towards maintaining compliance.
Most importantly, other than doing those things, make sure that you train your people.
Yeah.
And make sure your people understand best practices. You can make sure that, as a business, you are doing all of these things, but if you don't make sure that your people understand and are aware,
for sure.
It's not, it doesn't help you. So
you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Exactly.
Well, so you guys will do a full security analysis for a company and let them know, here's where you are, here's where you should be. I think that's something that maybe after the show I'd like to talk to you guys about, because, obviously some of the stuff we're doing is cloud-based, but, we just had a NAS system installed here, and the guy who installed it was one of our employees' husbands. He works for Delta Dental. He's pretty technical. And I just want to go through what we have and maybe just make sure everything's secure, because obviously we're protecting not just our stuff, but our clients' information. All of our websites are hosted with Liquid Web over in Lansing, and they have really good security measures in place. But I still would love to have maybe you guys go through and look at, where we are in terms of security. And then really more than that, when we move to our new building, which is just a block from here, to have you guys come in and make sure that, we're set up properly and we're doing things the right way. I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely. Happy to help.
Okay, well, we're going to end today's episode with a segment we call Say It in 60. So this is where I'm going to ask one of you, which I think you said Melvin's going to answer these. I'm going to ask you 10 rapid-fire questions in 60 seconds, and this will just give our listeners, just a glimpse into the mind of Melvin Renfrow. And if you get all of these right, which, listen, there's no wrong answer because they're your answers. So you just say whatever you want, but it's on record forever.
Oh, man.
But if you get them right, you get to go home with those fancy AZ insulated mugs there, brought to us by Heather Brooks from Brooks Innovative Graphics.
Right on.
So I'm going to put 60 seconds on the clock. Melvin, do you have any questions?
No, let's Let's do it.
All right, let's get my timer here. That's 60 seconds. Getting a phone call. Probably going to decline that. Okay. Are you ready?
Ready as
All
I
right.
can be.
The time starts now. What is a must-read book?
Not much of a book reader, being honest.
Okay. What is a daily habit everyone should do?
Take time for yourself.
What is your favorite podcast?
We'll go with AZ.
There you go.
There you go.
Must binge. What is a must-binge TV series?
Anything Marvel
What is your why?
for my family.
What is your best piece of advice?
Can we come back to that one?
30 seconds. Favorite quote?
Favorite quote? Carpe diem.
Who do you look up to?
T-minus 20 seconds.
My parents.
What is success to you?
Success to me is
10 seconds.
Man, it's harder than it looks. Success to me is
6, 5, 4, 3.
I'm froze. I'm stuck.
Time is up, man. Time is up. That's all right. We're still going to let you go home with these insulated mugs because there are no losers here at AZ at the No Easy Way Out podcast. It's challenging,
It's
right?
tough. It is.
It's challenging. Everyone thinks,
It is.
I can do that. Actually, my staff put me on to do it one episode where I had Zach and Brenda, and they asked me, and I thought, I do this every week, and I didn't get through all of them. I overthought every single question. So
You know what you
it's
want
all
to
good.
say, and then you freeze.
Yeah.
Stage fright.
Yes. Well, based on what I heard, success to you is helping people, solve problems in terms of technology. So you guys are getting to do that. It seems to me like you guys are experiencing a lot of success. Seems like you guys really, really enjoy what you do. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming on today, being a guest. Thank you for everything you guys are doing. And like I said, I want to talk about some of the things we can do to maybe make AZ a little more secure. Before we go, I want to give one of you the opportunity to look into that camera and tell our audience how they can contact you, where they can find you.
You can contact us by phone, 989-720-4287. You can reach us on our website, www.adaptivetechmi.com, or on Facebook at AdaptiveTechMI. Or visit us here at the Armory. Beautiful building. If you haven't seen it, come check us out.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's worth coming in just to check it out. Any parting words, gentlemen?
No, none for me. Thank you for the
Thanks.
opportunity.
Well,
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Again, thank you for being here. And if you're still watching, thank you for listening. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.